Hello, everyone. My name is Hayden Lee. I'm a Master Certified Executive Life and Leadership Coach. I'm also an accredited Enneagram practitioner and Enneagram teacher. So obviously I'm an Enneagram enthusiast. So welcome to my Enneagram series, where I've been covering all aspects of the Enneagram. And this series is called From Vice to Virtue. As a reminder, folks, the Enneagram is all about helping us understand our behavior, understand our motivation, not our behavior. Because oftentimes people mistake Enneagram for how people behave, but it's really about what motivates our behavior, right? The Enneagram is a system of development, it's a system of self-awareness, and it's really a roadmap to help us develop into our best selves. And we start with understanding our own Enneagram type, which is our core motivation. So we understand why we do what we do. So when we have a better understanding of why we do what we do, we can better develop into more efficient ways of being and doing and feeling, and really work towards our more true, authentic selves, which is what we really want. So what is vice to virtue? So each of the Enneagram types has a vice. The vice is really a fixation or this default pattern of behaving, feeling, and thinking that may not really serve us. And then each type has a virtue. The virtue really is this guiding light, or this lighthouse with which we can move towards or touch upon in order to liberate ourselves, in order to be closer to our full selves or authentic selves. And I want to add that the virtue is not something that we can be in all day, every day, 24/7. That would be impossible, right? Because that would be an enlightened cosmic dharma, karma, whatever state. And it's really about catching ourselves when we're in our vices and touching upon our virtues to be able to break free from the vices faster. So today I'm so excited to be exploring vice to virtue of type 6. So type 6 is sometimes called the skeptic or the loyal skeptic, or sometimes called the friend. The motivation for type 6 is the motivational need to be safe, to belong, and also to be prepared. So oftentimes with the 6, having the motivation to be safe or to belong, they're prepared for worst case scenario, right? They want to make sure that everything is safe. So as a result of that, while they're prepared for the worst, they may come off as a little bit skeptical or negative because they're always trying to make sure everything is going to work out. And then oftentimes 6s have a hard time with trusting, right? Trusting themselves or trusting others before they make decisions. So I'm really excited to dive into that today, and we'll talk about the vice and virtue of the 6. So with that said, I'd love us to meet my awesome friend and awesome type 6, Daniel. So Daniel, if you could introduce yourself, who are you, where are you, and what do you do?
Thanks, Hayden. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Daniel Allen. I am an Enneagram Type 6. I live in Connecticut in the Northeast United States. Husband, father of 4, law enforcement officer by day, life coach, entrepreneur, and comics book superhero enthusiast every other time of day. And I love pizza and pancakes. Um,
I love it. You're all the things. You're all the things. So tell us, Daniel, how does it, so being a 6, right? And there's that motivation to be safe, but also to be loyal. And I love that about you. The vice of type 6 is doubt, right? Kind of doubt for others, doubt for yourself, doubt for situations, doubt. So tell us how doubt plays out in your life.
One of the biggest ways I've seen it time and time again is this incessant need to obtain information. Anytime I start a new venture or anything, I want to make sure that I know as much as I can know so that everything will go smoothly. And what ends up happening is that I just get stuck in learning, and I'm learning and I'm learning and I'm learning and I'm learning. And I hit a point where I say, okay, I think I've got it all, but let me learn a little bit more just to be sure. So I just kind of get stuck in this learning loop, and I never really fully get going.
Hmm.
Um, and like I said, I've seen it time and time again in my life. So I kind of have to jumpstart myself and kick myself in the butt, really say, okay, you know what you know, get moving.
I think that's a great example of, the 6 is a thinking type, right? Could be in your head and be thinking, and for you, needing to know more. What's the connection for you between needing to know more and doubt and fear?
Afraid that it could all go kaput. afraid that I'm gonna step out and I'm just gonna fail spectacularly, and not in the way that you learn something, but in a way that everybody look at you and laugh and shame you and deride you and say, I knew you couldn't do it, you're a failure, and just life would be terrible after that. We can end up in the gutter. And I want to prevent that at all costs.
So that is called catastrophizing, folks. As Daniel's sharing, he's going to be in the gutter. His wife's going to leave him. His kids are going to hate him. You're not going to have any friends, and you're going to be living in the gutter homeless.
It's
Yeah,
all my
well,
fault.
it's all your fault because you didn't know enough.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's true. I mean, the struggle is real. That's why we call it a vice, right? It is this
Right.
way of thinking or behaving that kind of keeps us stuck. So I mean, I've had the pleasure to work with you, and I've seen your growth and see you have more courage, the last several months. But tell us how the vice of doubt and fear has held you back for years, or has kept you stuck for years.
It's kept me stuck in the fact that there have been things I've wanted to, like starting businesses. Um, just, and I understand, a lot of people may say, oh, I've wanted to start a business, but I've been afraid to. But I guess in the context of this conversation, it's been that not knowing that has kept me from stepping out and just wondering, okay, do I have what it takes, not just with my knowledge base, but with my degree of organization. Am I able to keep the books? Am I able to stay organized? And just looking at my history, I've been all over the place. Like, I live within organized chaos. Like, yeah, it may not look like anything is anywhere, but in my mind, everything has its place. So yeah, just wondering, like, okay, how is my procrastination going to sneak up on me and cause this to fail? Um, and so yeah, it's just held me back from fully committing to certain things. Like I said, starting businesses, and um, in the past, so, talking with girls. Um, Not really so much in athletic endeavors. I've just been kind of straight ahead go getter in that area, but um, mainly that's how it showed. That's how what's coming up for me right now. Just when I think about where I could be in comparison. For example, about 11 years ago, a few friends had started a motivational speaking company, and they asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. And at the time, I remember I basically made excuses for why I didn't want to join them. I got practices and got all these other summer things happening, and just don't have the bandwidth to commit to it right now. But when I look back on it, it was like, no, you were scared because you didn't feel like you had enough to contribute to what was happening.
Mm,
And again, not wanting to be the weak link.
mm,
And so I allowed that opportunity to pass me over. And when I look back, it's like, okay, had I committed back then, had I stepped into the challenge that I felt, how much further along would I be?
yeah,
See, although I've kind of ended up in the same arena.
yeah. It's fascinating. Just hearing you talk is just really such a great example of a little bit of a peek inside your head, right? Because like I said, the 6 is a thinking type, and you're thinking about the past, you're thinking about the future, you're thinking about a little bit, is there regret?
Right.
And it all, and then once again, it's this, you're right, all of us, when we start a new venture, it's normal to have a little bit of fear and doubt, but the motivation behind the doubt's a little bit different, right? Because for you, it really is to be prepared, right? Prepared for the worst, make sure that you have all your ducks lined up, and make sure that you know enough, and just that feeling of security and preparation is really important
Mhm.
for you. Which so let me ask you this: tell me about your relationship with trust in others and trust in yourself.
This is a hard one, mainly because I don't trust easily.
Yeah.
Um, my wife and I, we would get out a lot more if we actually had a babysitter. And the reason we don't have like a regular babysitter is simply because we don't feel like that there are, too many people in our life who we could trust, especially with, 4 of our children.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just been because working as a law enforcement officer for the last almost 7 years now, as people say, I've seen the underbelly of society.
Mhm.
I would kind of flip that and say, no, it's not the underbelly of society. It's just society.
Yeah.
I run into people literally from multi-million dollar business owners to the homeless drunk on the corner. We deal with everybody. And having that exposure to, I guess, what some people consider like that realism or that realistic look at life, it doesn't help
Mm,
because of a six. It's like, yeah, I feel like I know human nature. I feel like I know people, and you can't trust them.
yeah.
Especially the ones that say, "Oh, you can trust me." It's like those are the first ones you don't trust. So um, that has held me back in the sense where it's been difficult to form bonds and relationships, and to make like newer friends, and to have friendships that carry over longer periods of time, simply because I'm sitting back wondering like, okay, where's the flip coming, or
Mm,
what's the ask gonna be? Especially nowadays, being in these entrepreneur circles, everybody has an ebook, everybody has a group, everybody has a deal. Everybody has something they're trying to pitch, and it's like, okay, are you reaching out because you're genuinely curious? You're genuinely curious about me as a person, or are you just waiting for the opportunity to spring your product? And I remember you and I had the conversation about this in particular. And he was like, well, because I kind of project that out on people, I recognize that is what I've been doing in a sense. um, but I was thinking like, no, like I don't have the ulterior motive. Like I'm actually looking to serve. But um, having that feeling about people, I
mm,
recognize is really more of an outward projection. And if I would adjust how I feel about, a situation or a person, that entire situation changes.
yeah.
Um, if I'm able to open myself up and allow people to see me, allow them to hear me, if I'm able to be vulnerable
Mm,
and allow them to see me, then it's not so, I don't feel like people are being so devious all of a sudden.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's like as a six, you naturally are hyper vigilant and have this like natural, like, I don't know, BS meter or something, always like, all right, who's out to get me, who's real, who's not.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I just find it fascinating that you do work in law enforcement, right? Because the six, with that doubt and that fear, there is that belief that the world is an unsafe place, or that the world, you have to be very careful about who you can trust. And like you said, what better representation of knowing or seeing that the world can be an unsafe place than directly being law enforcement. And also I want to add, with the six, of course, one of the beauties of the six is loyalty, right? And protecting others, and loyalty, which of course is the best part of law enforcement, right? To protect and to serve and to be loyal.
Right.
And I want to also make the connection to your fascination with superheroes, that you are a superhero, right? And the fascination with superheroes, which once again, is to be loyal and fierce and protect. So that's all within you too, which is interesting. It's that polarity, right? It's the polarity of, on the one side, doubt and fear, and on the other side, fierce protection and loyalty. So I love that. Uh, which I think is a good segue into the virtue of the six. And like I said, each type has a virtue, which is something to remind us what will set us free, which will remind us what's like a guiding principle to work towards. And for six, it's faith, right? Faith, belief, truly believing, in yourself, truly believing in others, truly believing in the higher power, whatever that means to you. So tell us about how faith helps you move away from doubt.
I'll lead off by saying that of all like my core values, faith is like top two. Not just in faith in God and belief in that regard, but just in general, just the power of believing, being able to see something in your mind and know that it's possible to reach that as an end goal. Um, and for me in my life, it's been such a huge help because it's usually been like the Kickstarter for me to like, it's like after I've seen the severe negative consequences of something that could go wrong, I can flip it around and say, okay, now what can go right? What
Mm,
is it that I want it to be? How do I want to be living in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, a year, after this situation? Beyond that, there's a reassurance in knowing that everything that happens um, is for my betterment. Everything that's happening is for the progress of me on my journey, and also that I'm cared for and protected in this world. So, although I may see the dangers, I may see the pitfalls and the threats, because of the faith that I have, there's a knowing that I don't have to fear it and that I can walk through it because I'm going to be taken care of. I'm going to be cared for. Um, and like I said, I'm kept safe.
Yeah. I love that. It's not about not being prepared for, it's not about not knowing that there's a lot of risks out there, but it's more about stepping into it with courage, right? Ultimately, when there's true faith, there's real courage to step into the unsafe world, or to step into unsafe, uncertain situations.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been something I've said to a couple people recently. I may have written it down on social media somewhere that we don't admire superheroes because they are. It's like this impossible standard for us to reach. But I feel that we admire them because secretly we know inside of us that they are us.
Yeah.
That we're not projecting ourselves, but we're actually looking at reflections of what we can be if we would let go of our fears and our insecurities and our doubts and step into our faith, which I think is the original superpower.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's like the superpower is all within us, right? And which is the virtue of all, we're
Right.
going to speak in terms of Enneagram, the virtue of all the Enneagram types accesses our superpower if we're willing to let go of the vice, right?
Hmm.
Something else I want to touch upon, though, is when you really do step into faith, right, and step into the courage, what insights or do you start having about the a lot of the fears that you may have created yourself, right? Because there's a lot of doubt and fear on the one hand, but then I think when you step into faith and courage, you might start seeing, oh, a lot of this was self-manufactured, a lot of this I made up. So does that resonate with you?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Something that's coming back to my mind is that it's all thought that, um, and it all extends from faith, but on a negative end of the spectrum, it's a misused faith because we're still thinking about something that hasn't occurred yet,
Hmm.
but we're using it to bring up pictures of things that we don't want to see, things we don't want to experience, things we don't want to feel.
Yeah.
Whereas, leaning into the positive side, we're creating the same thing.
Yeah.
We're essentially creating our reality in the moment, and whatever our thoughts are will lead into our actions. And so the major insights that come up is like, okay, well, whatever you think about, whatever you put your energy and your focus on, that's what you're going to have. So what do you really want?
Yeah. Yeah. That's super powerful, Daniel. You create your own reality, and do you want to create the reality that the world is a fearful, untrusting, dangerous place, or do you want to create the reality that the world is a loving, courageous, a faithful place, coming
Hmm.
from a place of love, really, right? So it's kind of
Right.
you get to choose which reality you want to create, and and either create from the vice of doubt or create from the vice of faith. It's up to you.
Exactly.
So as we wrap this up, Daniel, I want to ask you, when you find yourself stuck or fixated in the vice of doubt, how can you remember to move closer to faith?
Take a step. Just take one step, do one small thing in the direction of the goal that you want to achieve, or just take one step in the direction that you want to go.
Yeah.
Um, as long as we're standing still, fixated on this negativity or the fear, it's going to continue to magnify. It's going to continue to grow. It's just sucking all of our energy. But the moment we take our eyes off of that and we're focused on where it is we want to go, and we start giving our energy into that, and eventually we pick up momentum, we begin to realize that what we were worried about was a non-issue from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a non-issue from the beginning. And it's like, yeah, that realization that you're the one who made it an issue. Yeah,
Right.
that's powerful. It's really taking ownership of a lot of the fear and doubt that you created for yourself. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's awesome. So Daniel, what are your final words that you'd like our viewers to know about being in the world of a 6?
I don't know. Um, be gentle with yourself, sixes. And everybody, really, everybody. Be gentle with yourself because you're doing the best you can with what you have right now. And that's all anybody can ask of you. And as long as you are putting in that effort, you're committed to whatever it is you're doing, and you keep moving towards your end goal, everything's going to work out fine.
Mm.
So continue to believe in the good, the beautiful, the just, um, and continue to work, continue to grind, continue to put in the work, and know that you are supported.
Yeah, I love that. What I'm hearing from you ultimately is have faith in yourself. And that's the ultimate virtue. That's the ultimate liberation, right? Having
Mm,
faith in yourself. Cool.
you can do it.
Yes. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Daniel. This was amazing talking to you to explore vice and virtue of the type 6. So thank you, viewers, for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And you can find out more about my Enneagram and my Enneagram group at haydenlee.com. That's HAYDENLEE.com. And my YouTube channel is Hayden Lee Coaching. Oh, and Daniel, where can we find you if people want to find out more about you?
Anywhere on Instagram and Twitter at Daniel Allen 99. I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/dallen99. I also blog at theheroesinstitute.wordpress.com. And I recently joined Clubhouse, so I'm still feeling my way out there.
Oh, where's my
Um,
invite?
I got you right now as soon as we get off. Um, yeah, so that's where I am. That's what I got going on. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you again, Daniel, and thank you, viewers, for watching. And I love Daniel's final message for us all, whether you're a 6 or not. Just have faith in yourself, and we're all just doing the best we can with what we know in any given moment, and just keep grinding, like Daniel said. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Bye.